Have you ever heard of a one-stop shop? Well, welcome to a one-stop vlog where we talk about trucking, franchising, clothing brand, youth training and coaching, owning property, vending machines, the day in the life, anything you could think of. This is what this channel is for. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and cut your alerts on. Thanks for watching. What's going on, YouTube? You got your favorite female trucker, Trucking with Kayla. So as y'all can see from the title, I don't know what I'm gonna make it. Being a franchise owner, meeting with a franchise owner, being a franchisee. So who am I sitting here with?
My name is Jonathan Marks, founder of Driving Academy.
Driving Academy. Okay, can you tell me a little bit more about Driving Academy so they know what we're talking about?
Sure. Yeah, so Driving Academy is the best truck driving school in the entire country. And I founded this probably like 8 years ago now. And I'm not just saying this just because I'm the founder. I think last year or 2 years ago, a company came over called The World's Greatest. And what they do is they go to different industries and they try to see who's the best in that industry. So they did the same thing with the truck driving school industry. They invited us to apply with a couple hundred other schools. We walked through all their interview process, and by the end of it, they actually wound up doing a TV show on us, and they called us The World's Greatest Truck Driving School. And the way I was able to kind of grow this company was all about first investing in my own personal development to learn more about business strategies and kind of mindset things. So then I can develop a good team of people and a good system of businesses to the point where now we have pretty much a whole system in play on how to run, open, and operate profitably one of the best truck driving schools in the world itself. And now we can teach other people like yourself, franchisees who can actually open up across the country in their local markets, be successful business owners, but also change their community time and time again with helping thousands of students out.
So you're basically, so your job title would be CEO. You were the face and brains of everything, correct?
Yep. So I'm founder and CEO of Driving Academy.
Okay, is it just you? Do you have a business partner?
No, just me. I'm the one that started from scratch myself. In the beginning, I had all the job titles. I had janitor, I had salesperson, I had trainer, I had CEO. Now, my job titles are getting smaller and smaller, but we have a culture here where it doesn't matter what my title is. If the job got to get done, we got to get it done. And everyone helps out too.
Okay, I'd love to hear that. Yeah. So what came, I know you said that where it came from, so when did you start Driving Academy?
We started Driving Academy, I think 2017, and this origin story is actually pretty funny. So the way it actually started was I was a Division I track athlete in school, and I was a full-time athlete, and by the time I was a freshman in college, I opened up my first restaurant. By the time I graduated college itself, I was able to open up a total of 3 different restaurants that I owned myself and manage a total of 13 across the state. So I was a full-time athlete, full-time student, and just driving from these locations, I was doing about 600 miles a week, right? So a lot of different driving, a lot of different back and forth. By the time I actually graduated, all those restaurants shut down, and I was actually a franchisee back then of a franchisor. All those restaurants shut down except one. So I learned very quickly a lot of business information there, how to interact with customers, inventory control, making sure that you're keeping your costs in line, how important infrastructure and operations actually are, how important systems are instead of just relying on people by itself, right? So that was my first forte in business, or a big forte. And from there, I just said, hey, I'm okay. I'm just going to be the operator of the actual restaurant itself. I fired the manager, and I wound up managing that for about a year. Did okay, but I was getting bored. I wasn't fulfilled. I didn't see the growth potential, right? So at this point, my parents had owned a truck driving school for about 15 years at that point. So my dad came here when he was 13 years old, didn't really have anything, right? Didn't even have shoes on his feet. That being said, the way he was able to kind of grow to what he is today as an entrepreneur is just working his butt off every single day. So if I wanted to see my dad growing up, that means I would have to actually go to work and actually work to interact with my dad. Other than that, he wouldn't come see me at soccer practice or any games or any track meets or anything like that. I would have to go to him. And as a kid, it was kind of hard to kind of see that side of him, but it put 2 things in my head. One, work ethic is super important. If you want to do anything, you do 18-hour days, 7 days a week, you'll get your goals accomplished. The other thing is there's got to be a better way to run a business where I can actually build the freedom for myself in the future. So when I do have kids of my own, I have the choice. I want to go see their game, I can go see their game. I don't have to be tied to the business and be a slave to the business itself. So those are some motivating factors for me. But because my dad was so heavily involved in the operations of the business, he actually used to come to my restaurant for lunch. Then he would have to rush out because he was always putting out fires, right? So that being said, I kind of started feeling bad. I was like, I don't want my dad to be going through that. So let me help him out. Let me learn the business. So I asked him the first time, hey, can I learn the business? Can I help you out? He says, no, focus on your business. I said, okay. 2 weeks later, he's still doing the same thing. So I asked him again, hey, can I learn the business? Can I help you out? He goes, no, focus on your business. Third time, I didn't ask. I just show up one morning and I started sitting back in the office and I'm observing and I'm saying, hey, we can tweak that or we can make that improvement. I go, hey, Dad, let's add this software to improve this system here. How much is it going to cost? I said, I don't know, X amount of dollars. I'm not going to pay for that, he says. So I said, no problem, I'll pay for it, and I made the change happen. So long story short, I actually wound up working with him for about 3 years, and every year we wound up doubling the business in size. So there was extreme growth there, and he started becoming an owner instead of an operator because I was becoming that operator. So things were working out well. 2.5 years in, he comes up to me and he says, Jonathan, I'm sorry to tell you this, but I'm thinking about shutting everything down. My first reaction is, what the F? Like, I'm working 7 days a week, working my butt off, and you just want to shut everything down? Now, remind you, I wasn't getting paid. I was just doing it just purely to help out the family. I still had the restaurant that was kind of helping me support paying my bills and things like that. So at that point, he goes, no worries. Since you're so good at this business, why not just open up your own school, and then we'll just transfer the contracts from this school to your school? I said, okay, I guess that's fair. So I wound up shutting down my restaurant, converted it into what you see today, which is the sales office and the classroom that you see actually in this building right over here. And from there, I wound up being a one-man show. So in the beginning, I was the janitor, the sales guy, the trainer, the CEO, anything that had to be done, I was doing it, working 7 days a week. But my dad still didn't shut down, so for the first 6 months, I was kind of managing both locations. And then I remember getting burnt out because I was working so much. And I said, hey, Dad, are you shutting down? What's going on? Everything's open. Everything's ready to rock and roll. Are you going to transfer anything over? His response to me was, oh, Jonathan, I'm not shutting down anymore. I'm staying open. Wow. Okay, well, I can't keep running both schools. He goes, Jonathan, I never asked you to run the school. You just showed up here one day and you started helping me out. I said, wow, I guess that is true. You never did ask. So at that point, I had to take responsibility for my own actions. I wasn't mad at him because at the end of the day, that was his. And I just put my head to work and I started grinding. So I said, okay, now it's time to actually turn on the fire and start growing this business. How do we put systems in place? How do we actually do the marketing systems? How do we grow so much where now I don't have to live the same lifestyle my dad has, where I can actually build a business that has systems in place that builds me the freedom that I want to live the life that I want, right? And I always had big goals and big dreams. So that was the kind of the light of fire. So I had to start from zero. Nobody knew me. And brand new name, Driving Academy. Nobody knew what that was. Brand new website. And then we wound up building that when in a short time period, we've actually trained over 10,000 students. We have close to 40 employees now on the company. We're the first and only truck driving school franchise in the country. And we're expanding nationwide. Our goal is to open up 2 corporate locations per year and really build this thing out to be pretty big.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my next question is, so do you feel like your success or that grind, that grit, that chip on your shoulder came from your father?
Yeah, so just seeing my parents, right? So my whole family came from Portugal, so I have that whole immigrant mentality.
Okay.
Where I was never afraid to work. I always had this plan, hey, let me work hard now, sacrifice now so I can have the future that most people cannot imagine to have. I always had big goals and big dreams. But it got to the point where I had different mentors throughout the time period where my parents could only get me to where they were, right? And I understood that early. At the end of the day, we all look up to our parents, but they're just humans at the end of the day. Yeah. They came from where they are to where they're going. Same thing with my grandparents. My grandparents raised me when I was younger, and I got to see a lot of the good foundational value thing. But I knew to get to the next level, I would have to find a different mentor. So then I went searching, and my dad actually had a conversation with me saying, hey, Jonathan, if you really want, because I always had big dreams. I want to be able to fly private, have my own plane. I want to be able to maybe own an island one day. I have these big dreams, not just because to have it, but it shows that if God put me on this earth to have this potential, what disrespect am I giving him without chasing that potential, right? And my view on money is the more money you have, that just means the more people you've helped. So there's nothing wrong with actually having money as long as you're putting in the work and you understand you're helping a lot of people, right? So building a system that can actually do that was super important. So the other way to kind of help me, if I was just a hard worker only without any mindset, I'd probably be living the same life my dad is, and my dad has been for a long time. But what actually helped me kind of get to the next level and really start thinking bigger was doing a lot of personal development into myself. So guys like Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, Bedros Keuilian, I had one-on-one conversations with these individuals. I spent over $1 million in my own personal education, learning business mindset, personal mindset, education mindset, and really how to think bigger. And having that implanted in my brain when I'm still relatively young in business, and making myself kind of dream so much bigger gives me that motivation to keep going to the next level. And now that I've learned all of that, I've noticed, hey, what's worked for me? What really made the trajectory change? And now that's why we're kind of helping other business owners and other individuals with our own personal development company, JM Growth Co., where we can actually help an individual or a business kind of get to the next level by adding systems in place, so then people can actually have the same freedom that they desire while their business continues to grow.
Okay. So I have a few more questions. So do you consider yourself successful?
Yes, I do.
So what is your definition of success or wealth? What do that look like for you? Because everybody's definition is different. How do you know you made it in life or where you wanted to be at?
So I wouldn't say I made it in life, right? So I think that is always a moving target. Mm-hmm. Success to me is defined as the ability to chase your potential. Okay. So if at the end of the day I can go to bed and I said, hey, am I any closer to getting to my potential? That was a successful day. And the feeling of success actually comes from within, because there's many different ways to kind of look at it. One of my mentors talked about this idea of blissful dissatisfaction. So it's a balance of, hey, I'm whole, I'm bliss, I'm not missing anything, but I'm dissatisfied because I know I'm built for more. Versus the whole idea of, hey, I want that car. When I get that car is going to make me happy. When I get that house, that house is going to make me happy. If you go down that road, then you're really never going to be successful, even if you have a lot of similar things, because you're looking for happiness on the outside, not on the inside.
Correct.
Right? So when it comes to actual feeling successful, I feel like it's an internal game, and understanding the tools needed to how to control this and how to control this itself, it really helps you the whole feeling successful. Now, when it comes to wealth and money side, that's a whole separate game. And a lot of people kind of interact one or the other. And one of the interview questions that I actually do have when we're hiring team members is, how do you define success? Because everyone defines success a little bit differently. And so understanding that is super important. Now, when it comes to the money side of the game, I've invested a lot of time, money, and energy on learning that side. And that's has whole separate rules, whole separate game. You played basketball, right?
Correct.
You can't use the same rules in basketball than you can in hockey.
Yeah, correct.
If you do, you're not going to win at hockey. So same thing. Money has a game, mindset has a game, health has a game, just about knowing those rules and how to play that game. And the beautiful thing about living in this world is there's so many people out there who have won all of those different games, and all we have to do is figure out what they've done to get there. So to win the money game, how do you actually win that? And I learned this from Grant Cardone the best. And it's usually, how do you invest? First, you should control your cost, would be the first thing. I feel like a lot of people don't really understand the cost side of life. And they kind of just spend just to spend. If they have the money in the account or they have the money on the credit card, they'll just spend. So they don't have that self-discipline needed for that. Once you conquer that, because you'll start realizing that you don't really need that much to live. And you're probably just spending a lot more money than you need to. Because everyone has to go through the sacrifice phase if you do want to get to the next level. Once you understand the basics of that, then it's about, okay, how do I work on my income side? How do I bring my income up? And at that point, now it just comes to about understanding money and how to respect money itself. So when it comes to investing, the first investment that you should always make is an investment into yourself. I remember the first investment that I made was a huge investment for me back then, and that was a Grant Cardone event. It was $900. And at that point, I had like $2,000 saved up in my bank account. So this was like all the money. And that was just for the ticket. At that point, I still had to pay for the flight to get there, pay for the hotel to be there, and pay for like a lunch and dinners and stuff while I was there. So I was like nervous as heck. At that point, I said, okay, I'm going to make this investment into myself, and this was a stretch for me. And then this is where I learned, after listening to a lot of different wealthy people, when you invest in yourself and you do the action, two things should happen. One, your problems should start changing in your life. Because if you have the same problems year over year, that means you're not growing. And then 2, you should start making more money at the same time, as long as you invested in a financial outcome. So if you have those 2 things that are happening, that means that investment is working. And then what you should do is, a lot of people just say, hey, I'm making more money, let me start investing in stocks, or let me do this. And then they start messing up the game because you start not playing by the rules. The rules is invest in yourself till you get so much money coming in. Then you can start investing in your branding or your company to make sure more people know about you. After that, then you start investing in passive income assets. Because the cool thing about passive income assets and the way you actually win this game is, if you did step 1 and you understand what your costs are to live, now you can start saying, okay, I need $50,000 a year to live my basic life. What if I was to show you a game plan on how to make $50,000 a year without working through passive investments? Then technically you have won the money game, because now you know exactly what the rules are, you know what the outcome is, and you know exactly how to get there. And now once your lifestyle is paid for, you're good. Now, the idea to have enough money not to work anymore is probably not good, because people need to work more than just for money. That fulfillment is super important, right? So at that point, then it all comes down to, okay, how do I keep investing in myself to keep increasing my revenue? And then how do I keep investing in passive income that can give me a lifestyle that I need to? Does that all make sense?
Yeah, I do.
And that's pretty much how you progress through the money game itself. And when it comes to me personally, right now, if I wanted to retire, I have enough passive income coming in that pays for my lifestyle currently. But I can't pay for the plane yet, so I want to get that plane. That means that's going to motivate me to kind of get going. I have bigger goals, bigger dreams. I want to help out a lot more people. I want to create a nonprofit. So like all those things are going to cost a lot of money and effort. And I'm not done playing this game yet. And it's all fun. And I'm not tired of working, so things are going to keep growing from here.
Okay. Last question. So when a lot of people become successful, it's like that motivation go away. I see for you it don't. But when a lot of people hit that money target or hit all their dreams, all that motivation go away. So how do it feel to be living out a dream? Was this always your dream to franchise a trucking school?
So the way I view it, the franchise or the business itself is just the opportunity to get me to my main target, right, of helping people. There's many ways that I can actually help people. And we actually teach this to our team members here, is be clear on your outcome. You don't have to be dedicated to the actual path on how to get there. So if it wasn't a truck driving school, for instance, it would be something else that would help me get to my outcome. But now that I'm in this industry itself, I'm super passionate about helping people, and it's a great way to actually get people involved with everything moving forward. How do I keep myself motivated? My goals keep growing.
Okay.
And I'm not satisfied with enough, right? So, and it's not about being greedy or anything like that. Because when you actually look at money itself, a lot of people have this bad connotation with money, and they might be taught, hey, money, people with money are blank, which is a negative connotation for some people. The way I view money and the way I've learned it is, money is just a magnifier. If you're an asshole with no money, when you have a lot of money, you're going to have just more money to be more of an asshole with. If you're a nice, genuine person before you had money, and once you have money, it's just going to be magnifying who you actually are at your core. So that's the way I view that itself. And I know that I'm built for more. And now it's a goal about how do I get my team to start thinking bigger so that I can help them get their goals accomplished. Because once you actually handle your own 24 inches around yourself, then it's going to be, okay, I've mastered this size. Okay, how do I help my family members would probably be next. And then my team members, how do I help them get their goals? Because now when it's not about you anymore, it keeps that motivation going. When people just focus on just me, that at the end of the day, you get burnt out. There's only so many cars you can drive, only so many houses you can go to. Like, you're not fulfilled at that point.
Find your why. I tell people all the time. And sometimes when it's you, it's kind of hard. So I always tell people, when you find your why, like, that's what gets you going. Well, at least for me.
Oh, yeah.
Like, my family, where they want to be, but I still want to be better. Want to be better than my grandma, be better than my mom.
And we should be. Because the way I view
Generational
it,
wealth, opportunities, so yeah.
They set the bar. We should make it go higher.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's all the questions. Thank you for that. Well, one last question,
Go ahead.
Okay, so what advice would you have for anybody? I know you started at a young age, like you said, you owned 3 restaurants at a very young age. So what advice, motivation, 3 traits that you feel like every person should have to become successful? Like, what is something that if a person hear you say that, it's like, okay, I got it.
Cool. So let me give you 3 steps on how to get anything you want in life. Very simple steps.
Okay.
Simple, but not easy to actually do. Step number 1, know what you want. And when I say know what you want, it's not I want more money, because at that point I can give you $1 and then you get what you want. It's be super specific with what you want. And the goal should be big enough where it's still able to do it. Somebody has done it in this world, but you should probably not know how to do it. Because if you know how to do this goal, you probably could have gotten it already and it's just too lazy and it's too small and it's not really going to change your life, right? Because at the end of the day, in order to get to where you want to go, you're going to have to go through a phase that's going to be hard. You're going to have to go through a sacrifice phase. When people keep their goals too small, the reward of getting that goal is not worth going through that hard sacrifice phase. So people just usually quit on themselves, right? So be super clear on what you want in any part of your life, whether it's money, health, relationships, faith, anything that you want. After that, be clear on why you want it, like you said. Because if you know exactly what you want and you know exactly why you want it, and most of the time people get motivation, yes, from themselves, but also from people that they're willing to help. More people, more humans are willing to do things for others than they will for themselves. And if you're clear on why you want it, then the how doesn't matter. Because if I told you you're a trucker, right? You get from here to California, how many roads can you take to get there? A lot. If one road's blocked, you can go another way.
Yeah, correct.
If the truck breaks down, you can go on a bike or a car or an Uber or a plane, right? There's so many ways on how to get there. But if you're not clear on the destination that you want to go to, if you don't put that destination in the GPS, you don't know why you're going to get there, it doesn't matter what how I give you, it's not going to happen, right? So for all those people who want to get to the next level of life, most people are just focusing on the how. And that's step 3. Get clear on what you want and don't be afraid to dream big. Maybe there's people in your life that you can't really tell those dreams to because they're going to be hitting you down, or they're going to be thinking of, oh, why are you dreaming that big? That happens with me now.
Correct.
My grandmother, every time I see her, and I always do it for some laughs now, I start talking about, hey, one day I'm going to get a plane. And then she starts praying to God, being like, oh my God, why are you so crazy? Like, why are you thinking about something like that? And if I was not strong internally, like that would make me start to dream smaller. So understand who is your audience around you. And the beautiful thing about this world that we're living in today, the 5 people you spend the most time with does not have to be actual humans. You can actually spend time with billionaires today by listening to their content, listening to their podcast, and having their brains go inside of yours without actually knowing how to interact with them. So understanding what you want, why you want it, and then if those 2 things are figured out, you will run through a brick wall to get it.
Okay. That's perfect. So thank you for taking the time out. I never did a podcast, so I don't know how you end, but my favorite thing is make sure you hit that like button, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you cut your alerts on. Trucking with Kayla is out.
All right. Thank you very much.